This is Rebel Redneck coming right at your front door. Folks, we all know what's coming around the bend here. We all know what this country's been going through. I made a video last week called Have You Forgotten? I got a lot of responses off of that. Yep, you've forgotten. You've forgotten what it felt like when you saw those planes crash into those towers on 9/11. Some of you were alive. Some of you weren't. Some of you know what happened and still don't want to believe it. Some of you weren't around and don't believe it ever happened. Just like a lot of you don't believe that World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Cold War, you believe none of that ever happened. Here's the thing. You see what's going on in our country right now, folks? This is remnants of all the years that it happened. This isn't about skin color. This is about selfish ignorance. Why can't we just come together? Why can't we just come together and unite like we did on 9/11? Why can't we stop all this stupidity? Why can't we get our youngins in control?
They weren't there for it, so they don't believe it.
They weren't there for it, they don't believe it. But why, as parents, can't we control the youth? Why did we let them run all over us? All over society and baby and pamper them? What was the cause of that? For another civil war? Folks, I ask you, do you love yourselves?
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Because when you spare the rod, you spoil the child. But do you honestly love yourselves? Do you love your children? Do you love this country enough to go up there and yank your children by the seat of their britches or by the ears? Bust that ass, set them down and teach them history. Real history.
Teach them right and wrong.
Teach them right. For some, it's too late. Here soon, it's going to be too late for them all. Because what people aren't realizing, and what this young generation ain't realizing, it ain't people like them standing up to them. It's good American patriotic people that know how this country used to be and know what the laws stand for. You know, at first there was a lot of talk about defunding the police. Now New York citizens are asking to bring the anti-crime unit back because there's too much crime. See, that's what happens when you defund the police. I tried to warn you. We tried to warn you, and you didn't listen. It fell on deaf ears. America, it's time we grow up. It's time we step back and ask ourselves, not what our country can do for us, but what we can do for our country. Because then and only then, when we start doing for our country, will our country be better? Will people have more freedoms? Will people relax? When you do for others, others do for you. When you bring back sincerity, when you bring back respect, that is when you get respect in return.
Message for all the mothers out there and the fathers. If you are raising children right now, you get those fucking phones out of their hands. You put their nose in a book. You take them outside, teach them how to fish, teach them how to hunt, teach them what to eat. Teach them to forage. Those are survival skills. Quit telling them to believe everything on the damn internet, because it's a bunch of lies. And if you don't, you're just setting this world up for another generation like this one right here. Discipline. Discipline is at the heart of everything. Respect comes from disciplining your children. Discipline yourselves.
You know, I want you to sit back and think for a minute, America. I want you to sit back and think what that flag means. What that means and why it flies.
And think about our young people burning them and stepping on them.
And then think about our young people burning them, stepping on them, being anti-American. See, back in the old days, even when I was growing up, and I know a lot of you say, well, you can't be that old, you're just talking out of your ass. No, actually,
Older than you think.
I'm older than you think. I found the fountain of youth that's called happiness. It's called love. It's called respect. See, I don't let stress get to me, because I see ignorance for what it is. It's ignorance. But in this country, back in when I was growing up, my mom and dad taught me a very valuable lesson, and so did my grandparents. To earn respect, you have to give it. If you give somebody your word and you go back on your word means absolutely nothing. Your kids need to earn their stripes. Your kids need to earn the respect, and a lot of you need to earn it too. It's not that you're failures, you've just forgotten what life was like when you grew up because you didn't want to remember. So I ask you this, do you remember when? Do you remember when you could go down to the store and buy that 10-cent soda pop? Do you remember when gas was at an all-time low? When a neighbor would come over because they would see your dad or your grandparents mowing their yard and say, hey, do you need some help? When you had a flat tire and somebody would pull over on the side of the road and say, hey, I'll help you fix that. You don't need to call AAA or nothing like that. I got you. Do you remember that? Because I do. I was one of those guys that used to do that all the time. America, my good friends, my good patriots, the good people of America, I ask you, look in the mirror. Look deep inside of yourselves. Find that old you. And then you can remember when. Then you'll be respected. There's no color on respect. It's all the same. To get respect, you must give respect. To get what you want, you must go out and earn what you want. You must work your fingers to the bone day in and day out. My wife and I, we've been up for damn near 48 hours straight. Working. Day in and day out. For the last 2 days. We're tired. We're beat down. We're exhausted. And yet we're still out here driving through Oklahoma, heading to Mississippi to deliver your goods. We get no respect, but we do it because we love our country. So I say in closing, do you love yourselves? Do you respect yourself? Do you respect your country? And do you realize, and do you remember when all this could have ended like that on 9/11?
final message.
And here's a final message from my wife.
The next time you want to go out and hurt a cop or shoot somebody for no reason, kill a little girl who wasn't doing anything, hadn't even had a chance to live yet, I want you to think that probably 10 minutes before that she was laughing with her mom and dad. They were talking about what she could be when she grew up. They kissed her goodnight the night before and read her a bedtime story. Now I want you to imagine for a minute that skin color don't matter. I want you to imagine that. I want you to imagine the babies that you've let die. For what? Because you want something for nothing. Because you think you're entitled to stuff that you have not earned. And when you take responsibility for the shit black soul that you have, only then are you human.
And that's the truth. You want accountability, you want everybody to give accountability for their actions. Then I say it starts with you first. We weren't the ones out there destroying this country. We didn't act like a bunch of thugs and criminals. You want accountability? Then you stand up and you admit to what you did. Then you'll have our respect as Americans. Because then we know you've really saw the error of your ways. But until then, you don't get respect. You get treated just as you are, animals. Animalistic, untrained dumbasses. Show me you can change, America. Show the world just what the red, white, and blue mean. Show the world that we are united as one. That we can, if we can overcome 9/11, we can overcome this, we can stand up, we can unite as one, and we can get past it.
We beat the Nazis. You are nothing compared to the Nazis.
We beat the Nazis. You are nothing compared to the Nazis. You are nothing. But united we stand, divided you will fall. America, red, white, and blue is not just a color scheme for one. It's a color scheme for all. It's the blood, sweat, and tears.
Message to all you thugs and you assholes that are tearing America apart. Remember this rhyme. The red, white, and blue is coming for you.
Red, the blood that was lost from all the soldiers that have died. The blue, the tears that were cried from family members that never got to see their loved ones ever again. The white, a symbolism for freedom, the fight against tyranny. Have you forgotten? Do you love yourselves? Can you live with the choices you made? Repent and be accountable for your actions. For those that are accountable will be forgiven for their sins. We are the mass. We, the people, have spoken. Good day.